Welcome to Inner Landscapes, the podcast where we explore our inner worlds, modern life, ancient wisdom, creativity, healing, and running an alternative business.
Inner landscapes.
Welcome to episode 1 of our podcast.
Yay!
We are Alice and Martyna, and we are really excited to introduce ourselves to you today and to this new space that we're creating to explore change, seasons, inner worlds, the universe, shifting, creativity, all of the good stuff. So Martyna, who are you and what do you like to do for fun?
Thank you, Alice, for this lovely introduction. So I am, like I said earlier, I am a celestial being having a human experience. I am an intergalactic goddess. Also, I am just a girl in the world trying to live this life in a way that nourishes me, feeds me, and makes this earthly experience easier for me and others around me. And what do I like to do for fun? What do I not like to do for fun? It's quite hard sometimes to separate fun and work. So I do actually like to read for fun, which sometimes doesn't feel fun. Because I read with not with a literal highlighter, but yeah, I'm kind of, keeping mental tabs on what's important, what I need to carry forward. I guess that kind of speaks to the fact that I am, for fun, I like to learn. And at the moment, that's exciting things as well. I'm learning how to crochet, and also I am learning to play a kalimba.
I don't even know what a kalimba is.
It's an African instrument that, funnily enough, I discovered. Well, I've seen it before, but I was traveling around India last year, and I met this group of musicians, and they were Indian musicians, like classical musicians, kind of merging different genres. And they had a kalimba, and when they had to play a concert, they would hand me the kalimba to hold. So I started just playing with it, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's a nice instrument to travel with. Let me get one." So yeah, that's what I'm doing currently for fun. And what was the other question?
Oh, we're not
What?
on to the other
Are
question
we
yet.
not?
We're
Okay,
just
cool.
on to
Okay, okay,
this is
okay,
this is cool.
okay.
I also really like the fact that you said that for you something fun to do is learning. I definitely vibe with this as well. I think
Mm.
expanding, it's I guess it's something that both of us have in abundance, is this like curiosity to look at things, and like we are both very curious people. So it makes sense that learning is our idea of a fun kind of activity.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's very true. So, okay, so we already know you love to learn as well as a fun thing. Who are we? But what else is there? Tell us about you.
Okay, yeah. So I am Alice. And I like to do lots of different types of stuff for fun, but my biggest kind of like fun passion over the last years is anything to do with like doodling and creativity, definitely.
Mm.
And it's definitely gone past the point of just being something fun, and it's something that's like deeply rooted and embedded of like all of my cells now, I think, which is really, really nice. But I'm also a really active person, so I love cycling, and I live in a really hilly place, so I love going for walks in the woods and like hiking around and stuff. In the winter, that looks like snowboarding, which is also, yeah, just like anything, I guess, with some kind of connection to nature and ability to float a little bit and also to like increase the heart rate is the good stuff. Um, and then playing, doodling, also love reading and learning and just expanding expanding my world of things that there are to kind of like explore, talk about, learn about, very much like what you said as well.
I love that. I think it's so interesting how, like, for curious people, it's quite hard to pick a hobby that is not going to be expansive. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we enjoy it, so
Yeah, but it's also addictive, isn't it? So they like if you start becoming more curious, then you find your curiosity grows and grows, and all of the things that you don't even necessarily want to get curious about them, but like things that were never interesting before are suddenly like, let me kind of delve into this sphere a little bit. So yeah, definitely expansiveness, I think, is a big thing for both of us, isn't it?
yeah, definitely.
And yeah, this podcast is called Inner Landscapes. So we're going to come back to this question with each other and also with our guests throughout our episodes. What's your inner landscape looking like at the moment, Martyna?
So at the moment, my inner landscape is a bit hilly. Um, it's filled with ups and downs, and in a way, there is like this undercurrent of peace and calm, but there's still a lot of little bumps in the road. I am, I guess, learning how to like sit with a lot of uncomfortable emotions and not make them mean too much about me or my life at the moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's a journey, and also like relationally right now, I am sort of reassessing my original relationships, like with my family and my ancestors as well. So there's a lot of that I'm exploring at the moment.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love this. Um,
What
yeah,
about yours, Alice?
I think my inner landscape is also has this kind of duality in the same way that you just explained. My inner landscape at the moment kind of looks like an uneven deck on a ship. I really feel like I'm kind of balancing, and there's all of this movement and motion that's going on underneath, and like it's a bit disturbed, but it's not like stormy, and it definitely feels like it's kind of I'm journeying towards something, but there's a lot of also ups and downs. And like we were talking about before we started recording, I feel like at the moment I've just been challenged with kind of one of my um old behaviors of wanting to rush into making things happen sooner, and I think maybe that's where that kind of unevenness comes from. But the landscape that is my ship is like well built, and I think it's just going to keep like going past this bit, and the journey is going to keep going in an adventurous direction rather than getting shipwrecked kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's almost like a journey towards safety in a way, but it's not like there's no real tangible destination. It's just like different phases or stages that you're
Yeah,
going through.
definitely. And I think this is going to 100%, obviously it is one of those, our landscapes are constantly shifting and changing, and your life is a journey. So for now it feels like it's kind of on like watery ground, but I
Mm,
know that it will also shift into solid ground and kind of foresty
mhm,
spaces and desert spaces, and this will change
mhm,
constantly. But right now I definitely feel a bit like a boat at sea.
mm. I'm right there with you.
Mm. And I
It's
actually have this image as well at the moment of the Alice Through the Looking Glass film where she's like out voyaging, and she's this, I feel very like that Alice energy. So it's not in a bad
oh
way at all,
yeah,
but it
yeah.
definitely is like challenging, let's say.
I love that. Oh, I love Alice. Um, I was just thinking about how, like, there's all this duality that we hold within. But also, if you were to refer to like, for example, like Buddhist tradition of non-duality, that everything it's almost like translating it into our language is like everything that we contain actually makes us whole. So there's no duality.
Mm-hmm.
And a yin wouldn't exist without the yang and so on. So yeah, it's quite beautiful. Like
Yeah, and our
how to do that.
subconscious and unconscious, and it's all part of one really big tapestry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's tell our people a little bit about what we do. So part of this podcast is going to be talking about how it is running an alternative business,
Yeah.
because that's what both of our kind of work worlds are.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us about the Kind Space and sort of how did you arrive in your business?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, where do we begin? So I I started, I never really felt like I belonged in a traditional world of work. I really struggled. Mm, I always had this desire for, being like making decisions for my like about how my days and weeks would unfold work-wise. And the transition was quite slow in a way because initially I didn't really have like good immediate role models, I suppose. Like I do come from a interestingly enough, ancestors come up. So my family, on my dad's side especially, like there's a long line of business owners, but in a more like a traditional sense. So my grandfather was actually a bar owner, which was, yeah, in a before the internet and any kind of mm, like ways of work that would be a little bit more holistic. It was very
Mm-hmm.
much hard graft, working kind sort of physically in a way. So I didn't really like, I always associated work with grafting and hardship in a way. And it feels like a journey of undoing almost that I've been on for about, I don't know, like close to 15 years. So I did start from, long story short, I started from working in the film industry. Like first I was working in the arts, actually, in the offices, and then I moved into the film industry, sort of the back office of the film production, like working on the production team, which is usually more behind the scenes than on set, but I still worked on sets. And having been a child artist, or sort of, labeled a child artist, I always thought I would be the one doing the creativity side of things. But it got a little bit different with the world of work. And then as I was working in the film industry, I had my camera with me. I've always had a camera since when I was, I don't know, like 16 or something. I'm just always with a camera. And I didn't really see it as a potential job. And then yeah, that's when I started shooting on film sets, and that slowly merged into or like shape shifted into me deciding that I would be a photographer, not full time. I've always had a plan B, knowing almost that, well, not knowing, but living with this feeling that creativity might not be sustainable. Um, I felt like I needed extra support. So I slowly built that over the last 13 years, doing photography. And over the last three, I've been working almost four actually since the pandemic. is that 5 years since the pandemic? Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
2019.
yeah, so 2020,
Yeah.
and in 2020, I began thinking of alternative ways of work in a sense that all of my work has always been in person. And obviously the pandemic has showed us that, we can still keep going even if we don't meet in person. And I needed my work to fit in with that. Um, and this is how the kind space came to life initially. Um, it was from a desire as well to look after myself in better ways, in all aspects of life, as well as address my menstrual cycle challenges. Um, so it was sort of it was a work of not a work, but it's like a tapestry of different factors that influenced me that then led me to explore how I could make the kind space into a business that would be sustainable, that would allow me to do what I love and help others along the way. And ever since then, I've been building the kind space more initially as a project, more as a community project, until I qualified to be a coach last year, menstrual cycle coach, and to support myself through that, I continued photography and also started working with my photography clients, helping them with their businesses online through virtual assisting. So those are almost like everything that now is under the umbrella of the kind space, but with the bigger vision and aim of empowering people and well, predominantly people that menstruate or womb bearers, but um, I still do all of these things, and I'm in the process of almost like reclaiming being a multi-potentialite, because there's been moments when I, felt like, oh, you should forget about this one and just focus on that one. But I contain all these things within that I don't want to let go of. So
Hmm.
that's also, and I'm good at all of them. So it's almost like claiming that, not even reclaiming, but fully claiming that and stepping into that iteration of myself that I know exists.
Yeah, so you're
Um,
actually like a triple alternative business owner. Basically, you're spinning many, many plates at once.
in a
Um,
way, yeah.
yeah. And what would you say is the ultimate thing? Maybe you've already mentioned it with this idea of wanting to change that work isn't about grafting, but it's
Mm,
like something else. But what would you say is the main thing that is driving you to continue? Because this is not an easy journey. Like running
mhm.
these kinds of businesses is complicated, it's hard work, and a lot of the time we're doing it on our own. Um, so yeah, what kind of motivates you and keeps you going and stops you from going just into something that's conventional and perhaps safer?
Yeah. What keeps me going is knowing that another way is possible. And like the fact that I meet other people along my journey that see a different world that isn't confined within the typical 9 to 5. Um, and it's basically like the boundless inspiration of these different people as well that keeps me going, that I get from these different people. Um, and also what's important for me is, more location independence and being able to spend more time with my family and my friends all over the world. Um, so yeah, that's kind of that's what keeps me going, but also just knowing that there is um there is space for people like me in this world. And if I didn't have enough proof when I was younger, then there is this hope that I'll, set the example and give others a proof that it's possible. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, that makes my heart happy. I didn't
I
realize
love
that
that.
that was like a motivator for me as well, but now I hear you say it out loud. I'm like, yes, those words like ring really, really true within me somewhere. I love
Oh,
that.
that's amazing. So tell me about your business. Tell us more. And yeah, how did you come to do what you do now?
Mm. So my business is Creative Tea Breaks, and it's everything mindful art, meditation, and manifesting. Um, so the main, I guess, objective, although that sounds like such a like really grey word. Um, but the main kind of purpose and driving force is the whole thing, is to invite people into spaces where they feel that they can just play creatively, be fully
Mm,
themselves, relax, like literally kind of swipe off how the day can feel. Um, and then also really explore their inner world through art and through meditation and through manifesting, kind of manifesting the inner landscape that you want to construct.
mm,
Because life is just really noisy and busy and fast, and we spend a lot of time taking things in through either like being told what to do in our jobs, or societal expectations, or from screens and social media and TV and film, and just like we're constantly absorbing stuff.
mhm,
And I really want to just create spaces where people are not absorbing, but they're turning inwards and then they're creating, because the creating is where we become more and more ourselves all the time, not just from the, I mean, you and I are both really curious people. We love learning, we
mm,
love exploring, but the creating, I think, is the thing that I want to create a bigger space, make a bigger space for people.
mm,
Um and I haven't been in my business so long, so I started doing this really intentionally in January 2024. And before this point, I was doing a little bit of teaching creative writing. And before that, I was doing some English language teaching because I'm British but live in Slovenia. And when I moved to Slovenia very naively, I did not think about the fact that I don't speak the language and I cannot qualify for most jobs here. So I kind of did the thing that everybody does when they go abroad and taught my native tongue. Um, but it's definitely not my passion. And at the same time as teaching this, I was doing some transcribing work, which is also definitely not my passion, because you're just sat
mm,
down typing and listening. It's really passive. And my body, as somebody that really likes to be active, was not happy doing this.
mm,
And as somebody that loves to be creative, there's zero creativity in this work as well. Um, and before this, I was a teacher, and I loved being a teacher in London. I was working in East London for 5 years, and this was a very creative job within a really rigid system. And I
mm,
think that kind of what I do in creative tea breaks is perhaps all the stuff that I would love education to be about. So maybe I'm also actually dismantling a little bit of those structures that we get ingrained in
mhm,
us during our time in education. And it's been like that for long, long time. So all age adults benefit from this kind of
mhm,
dismantling of perfectionism and boundaries, and you must work
mhm,
in this way and not look
mhm,
silly and have the right answer,
mhm.
and all of these kinds of things.
I love that. Amazing. Yeah. When you said dismantling, I was like, yeah. So we're just dismantling, like by doing what we do, we're dismantling different systems of oppression.
Mm,
Um, and I don't say that like I feel like that's a statement that it just is, you know?
yeah,
And I also love the fact that we both have this London life connection. And I'm from the Eastern Bloc, and you moved to the sort of Eastern-ish bloc. So yeah, there's a nice kind of mirroring there.
yeah.
Um, but I really love how you describe your business as well, like creating that sense of expansion, and because I feel like that's what I do as well in terms of menstrual cycle work. It's making it there's just so much like synergy almost between what we do in unexpected ways. Like it's all about doing something that is your own and shaping it in in this unique, bespoke way by yourself. So it's almost like giving people the agency to do to do what they want in a way that is their own. And we do that through creativity or like working with what I do with menstrual cycle. I don't know, somehow I just saw like, oh wow, yeah, this is bringing you closer to your inner landscape, basically. All of
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Mm.
And to do what you want to do and be who you want to be, and like find ways to do that that isn't, because often I think there's also this idea that if you are like living a radically true and loving in a radically true and loving way, that that has to look like something extreme, that you like voice really strong opinions all the time, or that you're really out there with like the way that you are living your life and dressing and things like this. But there's so many ways to be fully yourself. And
Mhm.
I think that both of us are perhaps, because we're looking at that inner landscape and that person, like really deep connection to your own universe and stuff, it's a much more quiet exploration. It's not about saying with like a really big sign above your head, hi, I'm here and this is who I am. But it's like about being like, I don't know, feeling within yourself, oh, this is who I am. Like, this is the edges of me. This is like where things are growing, um, where things are blossoming. This is where I'm neglecting parts of myself. This is where I need to nurture and tend to the garden, kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
much quieter. It's not easy work, but it's
Mhm.
not necessarily like loud, outrageous. I'm going to make a huge statement and be like the loudest one in the room. It's
Yeah.
definitely not this, although it could be if that is you. But it's, yeah, you figure it out through the quiet inside work.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. It's the kind of the unseen, behind the scenes, um, gentle work. I was going to say grafting, but it's not. It's gentle work, but it's not always pretty. And it's not something that you can, put in a Instagram, like shiny Instagram post
Hmm.
immediately.
Yeah, and with
Um,
this, then that actually, this is just the grafting is the perfect word as well,
mm,
because something that I've definitely gone on a huge journey of recently is living less in my masculine and more in my feminine energy. And that thing of like, mm, I think before I definitely did think like I dyed my hair every color possible. I wore really outrageous outfits. Like I wanted to be in the mosh pit at the gig. Like all of these things. And that was very much me at that time saying, this is who I am as an outward gesture. Whereas I think my landscape has changed so massively from this um, outward gesture to really embracing kind of the divine feminine
mm,
and my inner landscape, and not creating a projection of who I think I am, but discovering who I actually am, if
I
that
love
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. So it's almost like, getting getting reacquainted with a part of you that has always been there, but also like bringing all of these parts together into a cohesive whole that maybe you you don't have to have labeled. Like maybe you have labeled too easily in the past, and now it's,
Yeah.
again, going back to like that, almost like reclaiming um yourself as you are. And again, what we said about the shifting landscape, maybe there's no need to give a definition or a label within all of this, like
Hmm.
as you shift. And so you could be like changing and adding the divine feminine, or like exploring the divine feminine more. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but like just there's like space. That's what, for me, that's what, like, expansion and gentleness, they can coexist. It's like a trajectory of exploration, and that includes like expansion, gentleness, all of those things.
Yeah.
Um,
And also encompassing every version of yourself, isn't it? So that version of me before that was in the mosh pit and like loved being loud in this way, she's still a really genuine representation of herself, and she's
mhm,
still me, like she's part of me. Um, but obviously, as we go through different phases of our lives and we become interested in different things and we find new ways of observing and listening and everything like this, that yeah, we do also have different iterations. I guess we're just like big
yeah.
trees, aren't we? And when we're little, we're just like a little stick with one leaf.
Yeah.
And then we're just becoming like these bigger, 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 more deeply rooted,
Yeah.
more grainy, more fruitful
Mhm.
beings.
I love that. That's such a great analogy. It's almost like we can be a tree, we can be a universe, like all of take a pick,
Yeah,
whatever you
yeah, yeah.
like.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So we should let people know we're going to start kind of wrapping things up in a bit. So we should let people know what they can expect from this podcast. So obviously, we chat. This is one thing to expect.
Yeah.
And the things that we will chat about is like today, running alternative businesses and being business owners. We've also already kind of touched on this idea of personal development, personal struggles, inner wisdom. We're going to think a lot about cycles with Martyna as our menstrual cycle coach, and then also the seasons and kind of cycles within um,
Our life.
life. Yeah, life
Mm,
in general.
mm,
And then also kind of different practices that we both use and that other people use to kind of treat the symptoms of modern life. So, like we talked about already, how it is to run alternative businesses, how it is to break away from grafting, um,
mm,
desensitization from social media and screens and things like this, and just
mhm.
how to connect with your inner landscape in lots of different ways.
We've committed to this podcast for a year, and we are hoping to go on a journey through the seasons and take you along with us. So spring, summer, autumn, winter, with the intention of then meeting at the end of the year after we've traveled through all the seasons, and reflecting on what we've harvested through the seasons, basically. And that would be not just the seasons externally, but internally as well. And we would be looking at all different types of seasons and cycles that make up our lives and our
Yeah,
unique inner landscapes.
exactly. Beautiful. And we're gonna close each of our sessions with a different kind of like embodying practice. So for this session today, we're gonna have a very short little 5-minute meditation. So if it's possible for you to sit somewhere silently, quietly, and just close your eyes, then this is your invitation to do that. But also, if you're on the move, then feel free to just kind of observe your surroundings and let the things around you kind of just float a little bit as I talk you through this next section. So if you feel comfortable, feel like close your eyes, sit down somewhere, or if you're walking, just listen to my voice and let your mind kind of wander. So to start off with, we're just going to take a few nice breaths together to just welcome ourselves into this moment of connection with our inner landscape. So breathing in through the nose and slowly out. In through the nose and slowly out through the nose. In through the nose and out. And then just let your breath settle to how it wants to be. And just take this as an invitation to notice how your breath feels today, how your mind feels today, how your body's feeling. Any sensations that are coming up for you at this moment in time. And then coming back to the breath more closely for a second. And I want you to imagine in your next inhale, breathing up to this beautiful white light above you, which is the light of the universe. And it's glistening and it's glorious. And you're just going to breathe up there for a second. And on your next inhale, bringing that white light down from the universe, down through the crown of your head, and letting it dance in your heart space for a second. On your next inhale, breathing up to the white light and just staying there for a moment. And on your next inhale, bringing that white light down towards your body again. And this time you're going to travel through your heart space, through your body, your womb space, through your legs, through your feet, and down through these beautiful golden roots connecting your feet to the center of the earth. And just observe the warmth of the earth for a second, the closeness of the soil and the rock, and the little gentle stream of water that's running through all of it. And on your next inhale, come back up through those golden roots, bringing the energy of the earth and all of this golden glittering light into your heart space. And exhale down through the roots. Inhale, bringing that golden light back up into your heart space. And then just letting that white light of the universe and the gold light of your roots just dance in your chest for a second. And it's going to swirl like a gentle spring breeze. And I want you to just dip your hand through the middle of that swirl, and you're going to find yourself coming out in a kind of watery space. And in that watery space, you're just going to float and feel completely weightless for a second. And it's going to feel so nice that you're just going to lie back on that watery surface and let it bring you gently, gently, gently to shore until you're lying on a sandy beach. And the sand is really warm and it's kind of caressing your skin and your body. And you feel really just deliciously warm and safe and lovely in this space. And then you're going to stand up from that sand, stand up on the beach and feel the warmth of the sand underneath your feet. And I want you to just stand up and look around you for a second. Observe the landscape and everything that you can see. And just notice, what is there? What are the shapes? Are there hills or is it flat? Is there vegetation? Can you hear any animals calling in this space? And just notice for a second how it feels to be here. With the warmth of the sand under your feet and the sounds of your inner world around you gently kind of tweeting away. And because this is just a short practice today, we're going to walk away from this in a second. But before we do, I just want you to shout in this kind of inner landscape anything that you need to release, anything that you need to say. So it could be just a gratitude or something that you need to release or something important that you've been thinking that you need your inner landscape to know about. And when you've finished shouting, bring your hands to your heart and just feel the comfort of this space around you. Knowing that you can come back here anytime you need to and just release anything that you need to release. And then you're going to turn on your feet back towards the water that we came through before. And you're going to dive into that water And as you dive into the water, you find yourself coming out in this kind of corridor and just walk along this corridor. And on the edges of the corridor, you're going to see all of these pictures of the landscape where you've just been. Any hills, any rolling fields, any trees, whatever the sky was looking like, any animals you noticed in this space. And they're just going to be in these kind of moving images around you, which then start to swirl like a gentle spring gust. And they're just going to wrap all around you like a little blanket. And then they're going to become this kind of moving thing that's just going to come through your chest and settle in your heart space, bringing you back into your body in this moment, back into your breath right now, and back into the space where you are sitting or walking. And if you were sitting with your eyes closed, you can just give your body a little shake, a little shuffle, give your fingers and toes a little wiggle. Or if you're walking along, just stretch anything out that you need to stretch out after being in this space. And if you've got your eyes closed, when you're ready, you're going to gently butterfly your eyes open. Or if you're walking along, just give yourself a moment to observe one more thing around you that brings you a sense of pleasure and satisfaction as we close this practice. This is coming to the end of podcast 1. And something that me and Martyna would really love to leave you guys with is this idea that you are an expansive entire universe. You are a universe of ever shifting landscapes, ever changing landscapes, of internal seasons, of magic hidden, waiting to be kind of released, of mystery. You are a beautiful ecosystem of energy that is interacting constantly with the world around you. And this is kind of our invitation to you to keep connecting with this space and keep sharing ideas about things like this.
Yeah, beautifully said. And we would like to invite you to perhaps spend 5-10 minutes after listening to this podcast, either writing, drawing, collaging, or dancing, something about your creating something essentially about your inner landscape and what it's looking like and feeling like right now in this moment. Yeah, you can be as creative as you want with it, but we'd love to hear what you create if you do take this invitation.